The Scientology speedrunning trend has completely breached the containment zone, and it's gotten so bad that now the Church of Scientology is calling for law enforcement to do something about it, and they're calling all of this a hate crime. So it's safe to say things have gotten a little bit out of control since we last covered it. But I mean, hey, it comes to a surprise to like no one that these speedruns continue to go viral online. More and more people want to get involved, and the trend is now unmanageable for the Scientology centers. Because now you have massive groups of people just dogpiling into these churches, making very detailed maps on how to efficiently speedrun as far into the churches as possible. It's out of control. And apparently things have gotten so bad that a lot of the Scientology churches are removing the door handles from their doors.
See, luckily, we cannot get in the Scientology building, dog. You guys that on lockdown. Oh my god. Yo, bro, what's going on? Oh god. You finna last in or what?
Well, the internet's been very entertained with this whole trend, maybe because the Church of Scientology does have some questionable things in its past, some questionable skeletons in the closet. Who knows? Well, what do we know? We're not talking about that here on this channel, though. But we're talking about the current speedrunning that's going on. Because what started as just like, you know, stupid kids filming a stunt for social media is turned into a serious mob storming them one after one. In my last video, I compared it to the storm Area 51, no one can stop us all. Now, the Gen Z equivalent of that is just storming the Scientology churches because clearly they can't stop them all. But unfortunately, it might land some of these kids with some serious consequences if the church gets its way. But if you missed my last video on the whole Church of Scientology speedrunning thing, well, it's only got a whole lot worse. Essentially, you have Scientology, which is a questionable religion, to put it lightly, and people just realized, hey, what if we start speedrunning it? Like, running into it and seeing how far we can get and just see what happens. And it started off with one TikToker, then the same TikToker collabed with another creator, and then those videos went viral, and then more and more TikTokers started doing it. And then it just completely snowballed out of control because now you have groups as large as 50 people raiding places like LA, New York, Vancouver, and I guess at this point, it's not just a silly TikTok trend. Now, this Church of Scientology is really trying to get some consequences for the people doing this. And it's been like, what, not even a week since I covered this last, and things have just spiraled so far out of control. And the original creators of this trend are very much trying to wipe their hands of responsibility from this, and I really don't blame them whatsoever. Plus, I mean, they could have never expected how big this was actually going to get. I think to them, this was just like a goofy idea to do. And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this is probably like one of the least harmful trends that we've covered here on this channel, because we've covered some really bad stuff that's happened on TikTok here on this channel. Because the way it started, at least, you just had two teenagers run around inside the Scientology church. That was really it. They didn't harm anyone. They were just told to leave, and they eventually left. This is like so much better than 99% of the stuff that we cover here on this channel. But Schweily, who we discussed in my original video, he's been named as the originator of this trend and was quoted as saying, "I do not condone what I did, even though I didn't break any laws. All I did was explore a building, and I was never asked to not come back to the premises." I like the added caveat there, even though I did not break any laws. Smart. I respect that statement. But he then went on to say, "I never once in my video or any comment section or anywhere promoted the idea of running through there or beating my record." And on that note, yes, big warning. We do not condone this behavior whatsoever. We're just talking about a viral situation that's happening. Please don't go speedrun the Church of Scientology. But I mean, that's fair. The internet does just latch on to random things, and it's hard to predict what the internet's going to latch on to. Like, you had the whole Timothy Chalamet lookalike contest. I don't think anyone thought that was going to be that big. Then you had, obviously, the Area 51 event. I don't think anyone expected almost 1,000 people to show up to the Area 51 gate. I was one of them because I just wanted to document and see how many people actually showed up. But I guess it just shows at the end of the day, if you get enough people on board, it can become a trend. But hey, if you're going to storm something in the future, maybe storm, I don't know, a food pantry with 1,000 cans of non-perishable food, and you leave them there, and then you run off. Start that trend, please. But I digress. So initially, these videos consisted of 2 people, or maybe max 5 people, running through the Scientology church in Hollywood. And usually it was just running in through the front door and then out through the back door. That's it. And even though technically this is trespassing and technically dangerous for both parties, it wasn't too many people that it became violent or unmanageable. And it doesn't make it too much better, but for the most part, these groups were just in and out, and they didn't really cause any damage or anything. Very quickly, however, though, things changed a bit because people wanted to know what was deep inside this church. Like, what's going on in here? So people started pushing further and further, and they started mapping out the Hollywood building. Then people started bringing air horns and creating a detailed map of the inner workings of the facility. So things started to spiral from that point on. And it could also have to do with, like, this church on Hollywood Boulevard makes it feel a little bit less real and less like it was trespassing and gave people confidence. Like, I don't know, it looks a little bit like an attraction having, you know, the Walk of Fame on the sidewalk out front. And normally they stand with the doors wide open to the public with banners and books promoting their beliefs in the windows and even outside. And obviously this was how they were able to get in and start speedrunning this building. But for years, I mean, it's kind of been a trend where if they detect that you're not serious and you're just gonna hassle them, they like retreat indoors, they close the doors and they like shut down the shades and they just hide out and wait for the person to leave. This has happened over and over and over again. To the point where there are people that have built TikTok accounts off of just, I don't know, filming and confronting them and then watching them retreat into their base. And obviously it's not normal for people to storm buildings, so I guess they weren't really expecting this. It's not like they were out here building a Clash of Clans base trying to protect the base from people running in, but who knows, they might do that in the future. But of course, as these Scientology speedrunning videos started racking in millions and millions of views, a whole bunch of people joined in, and then it just turned into a disaster.
This is just one snapshot of so-called speedrunners, including a man dressed like Jesus stampeding right through security at a Scientology building on Hollywood Boulevard, screaming as they sprint into the organization's notoriously clandestine halls.
Because as I mentioned, people from other states are joining in, or at least expressing their desire to join in. But now it's pretty much gone global because the Church of Scientology has a building in a lot of major cities around the world, which I also feel like is one of the reasons why it's become so viral, because everyone has access, relatively, to a Church of Scientology to speedrun. Because as I mentioned earlier, the New York building's been stormed, the Vancouver building's been stormed. I mean, this trend has traveled as far to Australia or even Germany. This is crazy. And without showing them, because I'm not trying to endorse this or help people recruit, there are currently people making videos recruiting people to do more speedruns. So, I mean, I can only imagine what the Church of Scientology is trying to do to stop all this right now. And I mean, this trend is honestly as unserious as it gets because you have dudes dressing up as Gru and a whole bunch of minions.
Minions! Tonight we meet Tom Cruise! All right. Here we go. Hello. We are here to meet Tom Cruise. May we come inside? No. Curse you, Shannon!
We live in some fascinating times. And of course, there was another dude who got a group of dwarves together and just ran in there as well.
Where's Zenu? Let's find Zenu. Let's go.
So again, what is going on? And while it's still a joke to most people, and the Scientology church does have a questionable past and they've done some questionable things, it's still not worth catching charges over a TikTok trend. Because let's be real, the trend, while it can be entertaining, is quite dumb, and it's not worth having something permanent on your record, especially something like a hate crime, for something stupid like this. But of course, on top of the legal ramifications, the Church of Scientology has also been known for getting back at their enemies in their own way. So apparently they have something called fair game, which is a term they use to describe the policies and practices the church uses to combat threats. And while no, they're not hunting down people or disappearing people as we know of, there are TikTokers now coming out saying that they feel like they're being followed by them. So that is interesting. And according to ex-Scientologists like Leah Remini, the church will go after you if they can, and the more people they can frame as enemies, the more they get to act like they're actually being persecuted for being a religion.
You know, they're going to go after you. They're going to involve law enforcement. They're going to have you arrested if they can, for one purpose, to silence your voice and your platform. So this actually benefits them. They want to be able to say that they're being harassed. They want to reinforce this false narrative that they're a legitimate religion being persecuted, and you're playing into that narrative.
And apparently there's no secret that if you try to leave this religion, they will follow you to the best of their ability. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like anyone's received any real legal repercussions, but they have removed the door handles on certain buildings. And a lot of people are also saying that it's important to consider that if you think these people are trapped in this religion, then by that logic, you could be rushing victims there. And then that kind of reaffirms their belief that, oh, they're being persecuted for doing this religion. Because, as Ramini previously said, Scientology loves to paint themselves as victims. Again, I don't know if any of this is true. We're just talking about this trend here on this channel. But I will absolutely keep an eye on this trend, and I'll let you guys know if anything else happens. But until then, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.